Hello, ladies and gents, Hagbard Celine here, and folks, I found a blatant racist. Brace for impact, buckle your seatbelts, and prepare for the ultimate in playing devil's advocate. I've been called Satan, Shaitan, White Devil, etc., etc., so now, to become the demon that you've always wanted, dear. She does these weird pauses in the beginning of all of her videos. She's technically incompetent, I think. Shocking, I know.
Hey guys, it's me, Seren, back with another video. This video is going to be one of my PSAs. It seems like I'm having to make so many public service announcements these days.
Oh, yes, the weight of the world is indeed on your shoulders. Respectfully, I beg you, please, if you can, go on.
This PSA is actually one that I've made before on my Tumblr page. So if any of you guys follow me on Tumblr, you've seen me say this multiple times.
Tumblr page. Hitting all the stereotypes here, huh?
But I'm gonna have to say it again on YouTube. PSA, just because you're a POC does not mean that you are not anti-black. Just because you're a POC does not mean you are not racist.
Just because you're black doesn't mean you're not racist.
Just because you're a POC does not mean you don't have internalized anti-blackness. So non-black people of color need to stop acting like just because they're a POC that somehow means that they're immune to racism and being racist, because anti-blackness is something that affects everyone that is not black.
Non-white people need to stop acting like just because they are people does not mean that they are immune to racism or being racist, because anti-whiteness is something that affects everyone that's not white.
I mean, and black people too, because there's tons of black people out there that have internalized anti-blackness. Like, I need people to stop acting like just because they're POC, they're not anti-black.
I need people to stop acting like just because they are white, they aren't anti-white.
So this video was inspired by a comment that I received on my white girl with box braids rant video, which just got people all kind of up in arms, which I knew it would, which is why I really didn't want to make the damn video in the first place, but I just had to fucking make it.
Oh, I understand. You are artistically inspired.
This girl, this Hispanic girl, she left me a comment asking me, why do you have to focus specifically on black and white? Because, you know, the video is about the white girl with box braids and how box braids have historically been seen as a black hairstyle, and I'm not going to get into that in this video, and I'm not going to define any of that for any of you in this video. I'll just post a link. If you guys want to go watch the other one, you can.
My first video ever was about just this issue as well. Feel free to check it out to refute your ridiculous, petty, childish points.
But basically, it was about, you know, my perspective as a black girl about this white girl with braids. So this Hispanic girl comes and leaves a comment of, why do I have to be talking specifically about black and white? And then she goes, other races suffer from cultural appropriation as well.
So respectful, much mature.
Native Americans suffer from cultural appropriation as well. Haven't you seen the way that white people wear Native American tribal prints and leggings and headdresses?
Just for the record, the native population was reduced by almost 80%. An act that was not perpetrated in the US against even the slave population. But go on, you selfish cunt.
Bitch, why are you talking about Native American? I'm black and you're Hispanic, which is ethnicity, not a race, but we're just gonna stick with that for right now.
Well, ironically, there are only 3 races scientifically distinguished by biological characteristics and skull and nasal passage shape, so she's technically correct here.
I'm black and you're Hispanic. Why are you whining on my page about why didn't I bring up Native Americans? What are you talking about?
Well, I'm German, and he's Scottish. Why are you on my page talking about why didn't you include more of the colored people? What are you talking about?
You know, she started veering into oppression Olympics territory with this comment.
An Olympic event comes up that you can't win, so you just cancel the events, huh?
talking about how all these other races suffer from cultural appropriation, and how white people take everything, and how why do I have to focus on black and white in this video? Why can't I talk about everything? And it's funny because last week I also got another comment from someone saying that I do too much including of other minorities in my videos. So that just goes to show that you really can't please everyone. Like, it's no point in even trying. Like, whenever I talk about other races in my videos, I get complaints that I'm talking too much about other minorities. Whenever I make a video that's specifically about black people, I get complaints about why am I not including other types of minorities. Like, it really doesn't matter to me. I make videos about whatever I want to make videos on.
Congrats. Welcome to the club. That's how it feels to be white talking to any angry person of color.
But it's just funny that you really can't please everybody. Like, that's just hilarious to me.
You say that, but you sure sound heated.
But anyway, so I replied to the girl. I was like, listen, I'm black. I can only speak for myself. I'm not going to sit here and make this about white people stealing shit from Native Americans. That's not my place. Like, what? Like, why would I even talk about that? Like,
look, I'm white. I can only speak for myself. I'm not going to sit here and talk about black people stealing from Greeks and Arabs. It's not my place. Why would I even talk about that?
I was like, and I was talking about a very specific instance of a white girl wearing box braids and how that relates to me as a black woman and how that relates to me as a black person with natural hair and what, me as a black woman wearing my natural hair, how that affects my life versus how that would affect this white girl's life. I was talking about a very specific thing in my video.
Why, yes, it is specific and self-obsessed to the point of being meaningless.
And I was like, why does me talking about this really specific thing trigger such a defensive reaction in you that you feel like I'm excluding you because I'm talking about something specific, right?
When I'm talking about the advancement of Western civilization, why does me talking about this specific thing trigger such a defensive reaction in you? You feel like I'm excluding you because I'm talking about something specific?
To me, it doesn't make any sense. I feel like I'm black. I can only speak for myself. This was a black and white issue. It's perfectly acceptable for me to address that specifically. If you don't like it, if you don't like me talking about black issues, you can feel free to watch another YouTuber or even better to make your own videos.
Well, here's the video, honey. Remember you asked for it.
If you are Hispanic and you're seeing issues with white people and cultural appropriation, make your own videos. If you're Indian and you see an issue with white people and cultural appropriation, make your own videos,
But what if I see problems with the black community or Asians? It's only fine if I go for whites, correct?
There's this habit of expecting black people to speak for everyone when POC is not synonymous with black. I don't have to speak for anybody except motherfucking niggas. That's all I have to do, honestly.
By that logic, I should only care about white Europeans. Why do you want this?
It's stay black and die. That's all I have to do.
Preferably the latter, sooner rather than later.
So, and it's just really funny to me because it's like, I watch videos all the time from people of other races, and it doesn't make me feel excluded. It inspires me to make a similar video from my own black perspective. You don't know how many times I've been watching something from someone of another race, and it made me think like, man, I've seen that same thing with black people. Let me go read up on this and make my own video about this from my black perspective.
So, almost like your skin color was irrelevant and you could empathize across racial bounds. Amazing.
I don't attack that person like, hey, Asian bitch, why aren't you talking about black people? Because it's so crazy, right? Like, it's so random. Like, what is the point of leaving an angry comment about how that person didn't address your marginalized group? Why would they or should they if they are not a part of your group,
If you believe that, why should any white care what any person of color thinks, desires, or wants? Should we not believe the same as you're preaching here?
And the crazy part is, this Hispanic girl, she loved a ton of my other videos, right? She was a subscriber. I mean, her ass is banned and blocked now.
Banned and blocked, or stunning and brave?
But she was a subscriber. She left comments, on my Patricia Arquette video, talking about how much she loved it. On my Grammy video, talking about how much she loved it. She loved my other videos. The only video that got this nasty response out of her was one where I talk about Black people specifically. The only one where I talk about Black people specifically triggered this very visceral reaction in her of, well, you are talking too much about Black people and you need to include everyone. And this is a really interesting sentiment that we see all the time, right?
Yeah, we do see this behavior from all those silly people of color all the time. The difference is the word racist was socially conditioned into us, but,
With All Lives Matter versus Black Lives Matter, with the response of last Friday's blackout.
Oh, that Black Friday protest that did absolutely nothing.
You had people with whiteout. Now Asians, I believe, are doing their own with Asian invasion. And it's just like, why? Why when people see Black people being visible, why do people feel the need to make Black issues and Black visibility about themselves,
Good question. Why do Black people obsess on race in a manner that whites would be publicly shamed for?
Oftentimes, Black visibility inspires an extremely defensive reaction in non-Blacks, both white and non-Black POC, because Black visibility is seen as offensive.
Sure, it's not that the behavior that you probably see as quote-unquote Black visibility is probably pig-headed racist behavior. It's everyone else. It's not you. It's the 7 ex-wives.
Black visibility is seen as offensive. So it triggers a defensive response.
The same could be said of white visibility when white people talk about issues affecting white identity.
Being proud of your Blackness is seen as offensive. Discussing Black issues is seen as offensive. Discussing, your issues that you've had with race as a Black person is seen as offensive.
Being proud of your whiteness is seen as offensive. Discussing white issues is seen as offensive. Discussing issues about race that affect you as a white person is seen as offensive.
So people get defensive and they hop on talking about, well, you need to talk about all people and you need to talk about all types of minorities and, Black people need to stop acting like they're the only ones that are being oppressed, like oppression Olympics, like we're in a contest to see who's the most oppressed. Like, I don't get down with that shit,
Yes, I know you don't, because somewhere deep, deep inside, you'd lose. Throughout history and even in modern times, Black people would hardly rate in the top 3 from the rest. You'd be fighting for bronze under India and Southeast Asia.
The pushback against specificity, because that's what we're talking about, specificity. I'm specifically talking about my Black life and my Black experience, and it upsets you. This pushback against specificity, it really only occurs when we are talking about Black visibility. Nobody talks about or pushes back against the specificity of walking for breast cancer, right?
So now you're comparing Black people with a chronic, often fatal disease. Okay, interesting tactic, but go on.
Nobody says, why are you talking about breast cancer? We need to talk about cervical cancer. You guys are bad people. No one says that, right? No one pushes back against the specificity of, dumping ice over your head for ALS. Nobody said, where is the ice bucket challenge for fucking Alzheimer's? Nobody pushed back against that specificity because we're all adults. And there's an understanding that caring about this one cause does not inherently mean that you don't care about other causes, right?
Well, no, not inherently. However, it is to be noted that this is about specificity. You don't care, and you've made it abundantly clear that you don't care.
We can all care about more than one thing at once. We don't have to go around shouting from the rooftops that you care about breast cancer and cervical cancer. There is no assumption that, you care about breast cancer, so that means you don't care about cervical cancer.
You explicitly state that you're being exclusive and do not care in this very video.
People only make that assumption. They only give you that pushback. They only say that you're being exclusive when we are talking about Black visibility.
Or white cultures.
That triggers a very strong, very emotional response in people where they say, this is offensive, this is exclusionary, this is this is that. Why are you going out of your way to not include other people? And it's like, you never see that with anything else except black people, right?
Oh, shit. Oh, that's a Freudian slip to end the ages. Jesus. All right, no, we got to play that again.
Why are you going out of your way to not include other people? And it's like, you never see that with anything else except black people, right?
You're right. You do mostly see this behavior from black people, huh?
Whites and other non-black POC have a habit of either feeling offended at black visibility or co-opting, the black movement entirely and putting it into their movement and erasing black people,
You are literally describing the founding principles and behaviors of black power operatives and other race activists, not white people, you moron.
So you had Black Lives Matter get co-opted into Muslim Lives Matter.
Yeah, fuck Paris.
You had the fact that many black queer people were at the forefront of Stonewall that just got absorbed into the gay rights movement, and the black people are completely erased.
There are many black power advocates that call these men faggot race traitors. For the record, I will pay money for Black Hitler to have a discussion with an anti-homosexual black activist. I'd pay. Because
black visibility scares people. It scares people. It offends them. And it, really triggers this response of, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? How dare you be black and proud? How dare you want to speak publicly about black issues? What are you doing, And I feel like all of this stems from internalized racism and anti-blackness that is woven into, every part of our society that tells us that blackness is bad, that blackness is wrong, that blackness is offensive. Just like I said in my colorism video that I put up earlier in the week, we have all these negative feelings that are associated with blackness. So when you see black visibility, it fucking offends you and you feel some type of way,
You mean it makes you feel a certain way when you see quote-unquote white visibility and you're projecting your inferiority complex. You mean the basis for any racial segregation.
And it's just interesting to me to see people that, call themselves POC and they want to talk about, social justice issues and they want to talk about race, but they have these really strong emotional issues from seeing me talk, be black and be visible and talk about black issues. If black visibility triggers these types of feelings inside of you, you should really take a step back and ask yourself why.
If white pride and white visibility triggers you or upsets you, you should take a step back and ask, why?
Why, when you see a black person talking about a specific, very specific instance of racism between a black person and a white person, does that make you immediately why does that make you feel excluded? Why does that
Jesus, do I even need to reverse your statements anymore? I mean, or is my audience now hearing it automatically?
Why does that make you immediately want to jump in and say, well, but what about me? Why does black visibility give you those type of feelings? Why do you feel excluded?
Today, I am your Lark mirror, dear, and you cannot escape me.
What do you want? You want to be a part of oppression?
Of course not. Of course not, dear. I'll leave you with that. Your precious, ever-valuable idea that you're oppressed, and not just a vapid, over-eager, counter-intellectual, racist bent.
Doesn't make any sense.
You're right. It doesn't make any sense to want to hold on to your oppression as though it were some kind of social anxiety medication, without which the fact that you are a racist, mediocre hate monger who will accomplish nothing besides being the most strident voice in your echo chamber. That's all for me, folks, and think. If anything I've said here offended you, I never did anything but say what she did from a quote-unquote white perspective. Dear, you're manufacturing white nationalism. The fallout lies squarely with you. Good luck out there. Stay safe. Goodbye.